Hi, how are you all? How is everyone today? How are you in these crazy times? I have just had... Come on, Puss. Or is the cat just coming to see me? Hello? I have just had the craziest time. Hello, Pussycat. Well, meet the Pussycat Part 2. I've just had the craziest time. I just made a whole video as part of the Elders' Wisdom show, and spent a long time making it. I spent ages and ages thinking about it yesterday and today and so on, because today, because it's a very special thing happening here at the moment. And then I had incredible problems with transmitting the video over to my laptop and so on, and my phone ran out of space, and all sorts of really weird things went on. And then I went really dizzy. I don't know why, what all that was about. Anyway, I was talking about the energy of trauma in the video and healing the energy of trauma. So this is part 2. This is take 2. So the last thing I'd said at the end of the video was the need for perseverance in healing, and that you never give up. So, you know, I don't know if it was my technical incompetence, the limitations of my phone, or whether there's some kind of dark forces going on, because, you know, it's really clear at the moment that there's a lot of really evil stuff going on the planet, as we've witnessed. We talked about on the Elders' Wisdom last week with the Olympics and all the ceremonies and so on. So I really don't know. Gosh, as I'm recording, I'm suddenly smelling a beautiful perfume from the silk tree that grows here. So I was really disappointed to lose all those you know, like 7-8 minutes of video footage that I just created for you. So let's start again. Okay? Breath. So where did I start? Yeah. So this video is about three things I'm going to talk about. It's first of all, it's in remembrance to the Nazi massacre that happened in the village here in the south of France 60 years ago. It's about teaching about the energy of traumatic recapitulation, and it's about understanding the infinite power of nature and its incredible magnificence, how we can always rely upon that power of nature. And it's about the creative ability of the human soul, that we can use that power to transform and restore ourselves back to our connection with God. So that's really important to remember that things aren't lost, you know, even if it feels like it's lost. So yeah, let's start by talking about the Nazi massacre. So today's a really special day, or it's building up to a special day, and I'm just wondering if it's the energy of all that that's kind of affecting what I'm doing. It's that the 6th of August is the day, actually, and it was the day in 1944 when a terrible thing happened in this village, in this little hamlet, where people were... terrible things happened at the hands of the Nazis. And I moved here to the hamlet in 93, which was, what's that, 93, 50 years, almost 50 years after this thing that had happened. And I was so shocked. I didn't discover about it for years, actually, but we had a incredibly difficult time when we first moved here, and it was, the whole hamlet was ruined. There was nobody here. I moved in with 3 small children, 2 babies and a small child, and we had 8 years of being attacked, because that energy of fascism was still, that traumatic imprint was still very much here in the valley. And things happened that were very difficult at that time. I talk about them in my autobiography, Volume 5, I'm going to come to, and in the healing book that I've done, talking about what happened. So it took years and years of really focused hard work to turn things around here and for it to be a different place, and it is a totally different place now. So let's talk about what happened up in the village. So in 1940, France was at war with the Nazis, and the Nazis had invaded France, and they had to make a decision as to what they were going to do, and the country was split. So some people went with wanting to be sovereign, and a large part of the country signed up to become in a government collaborating with the Nazis. That was called the Vichy regime. And so this part of France, in the south of France, was collaborating with the Nazis. So the local people that didn't want that, they really kind of rallied round, and I mean, it was brutal under the Nazis. It's the same Nazi energy as we're dealing with now in various places in the world, and funded by the same globalist. Actually, the same globalists that funded the Nazis then are still funding things that we're fighting against now. So in the woods around here, the local people formed a resistance movement and hid out in the woods, and they were called the Maquis. And on this particular day, the Maquis decided to release prisoners from the prison of war camp. There were Ukrainians and Russians and so on that were our allies, that were being captured by the Nazis in the prisoner of war camp, and they went up and they released them, and then something terrible happened. So when the Nazis heard about this, and then they decided to retaliate. So what happened on this particular Sunday, 1944, the 6th of August, the old people were in the cafe having their coffee, Sunday morning, doing the usual things, and then suddenly they got wind of the fact that there was Nazis were turning up in the village. Now this story was told me by an old man up in the village that actually escaped that day because he ran down to my house, which is about a mile down the road. There wasn't a road then, there was just a pathway, so he escaped and ran down and hid on the roof here. Do you want to go down, Puss? You want to go down? She's a bit fidgety. So go down then. So he ran down here and hid, because I think actually the resistance were using this house as a hiding place anyway, and now she wants to come back up. So so the people in the cafe, they heard that the Nazis, they heard them marching on the village, and they rushed out, and there were 2 battalions of Nazis coming into the village 2 directions in a kind of pincer movement, and as the men ran out, that they were shot down by the Nazis, including Casimir, Monsieur Casimir Struck, who's the father of the man that we bought the house from, Monsieur Struck we bought the house from. So then it didn't end there. The Nazis then rounded everybody up into the small hotel there. I guess that was where the cafe was as well, and boarded them in and set the place on fire, which was absolutely horrific. So a lot of people were burnt to death on that day. And I mean it's so awful and so traumatic, it hardly bears thinking about. And there's a memorial up in the village talking about it, which a picture of which is included in this video. So I will talk, I've got a little video, I will show you that place, and the video of the men that are up in the village yesterday singing on this commemoration and celebration. So they were singing about what's happening, and they were singing in Occitan, and they're singing about the path of liberty and freedom and the people that died that day, the people who were burnt alive, singing in Occitan, "We are walking the path to freedom." And they were sharing in that song about how much they love France and the country, and how much they would resist, and how they perished for their love, but they had to do this for freedom. So that in itself is a huge lesson for us, because we are dealing with some pretty evil stuff going on at the moment, and unless we stand up and push back, all our freedoms will be lost. And also, what a waste of all those people, all those people before who stood up against fascism and evil. We can't just lie down and be walked over at this point. We have to follow their example and stand up, even if it's hard and it's like we're worn out and it's like we don't have it within us to do it again. We have to persevere. We have to keep going somehow. So that's that part. So the part I want to talk about now is about traumatic recapitulation. So Peter Levine, who's a pioneer in trauma healing, he says that traumatic recapitulation is the fundamental thing on this planet that causes terrible violence and wars to happen time after time. It's like there is an energy in a traumatic event like that fire happening. There's a tremendous energy that becomes imprinted. So when it's with an individual, that imprint happens in the body. When it's with on a planetary level, the imprint is of the energies that are imprinted planetarily somehow in the body of the Earth or something. Nobody really understands what happens, but it does happen that time after time, as long as that traumatic imprint is there and we are unconscious about it, then it will come up time after time after time. And so this is what I talk about in my trauma healing book, is teaching people how to do somatic experiencing, to track in the body where that imprint is held, because it could be in your arm, in your chest, in your legs, wherever. And you can access into that point and work with it somatically to clear it from the body. And that's the trauma healing work that I do as well. So the energy of the traumatic imprint that happened here. It's the energy somehow of fire, and that has been recapitulated. So since that burning in the village, in this house, in the particular house that I bought here, strangely there has been 3 more fires, and I came into this place and had to deal with not just me, my partner and my family. We went through incredible difficulties of attack and abuse by the fascist mayor and the police here at that time, but also the house itself, the body, if you like, of this hamlet. The house itself had undergone 3 fires, and we had to deal somehow with restoring the house back to its initial goodness and well-being and health. And I'm still in the process of that, because things are still ongoing. There's incredible challenges happening for each one of us on this planet, and we have to persevere and keep going if we want to bring goodness, truth and beauty and harmony back to the planet. We can't give up at this point. We have to keep going. We have to find the reserves in ourselves to keep going, and we have to resource ourselves, because if you just empty yourself with continual effort, you don't have it in you to rebound and to deal with it again, to do it again once you've been thwarted. So I'm going to show you how fire has affected this house and what we've had to do to deal with it. So this is downstairs in the interior of my house, and we've done a lot of renovations since we first moved in here. This was a very, very dark, deep cellar, and I've been renovating and creating lots of rooms down here. This was all darkness and mud and so on. So it's involved putting in lots of floors and taking walls down. So there was a wall across this part here, and you can see this big beam. This was completely blocked off, and it was a dead space. And I was very curious about what this space was about, and decided to take this wall down. Then after I took the wall down, I found a space in here which must have been an old chicken coop or something like that, but it was completely blocked in. So these 2 windows that you see in front of you now were sealed up with stones, and there was a wooden floor dividing the bottom part to the upper part, and I found a gun holster in there. So there was no access, no way of getting into it. So what was the room about, and what was the gun holster doing there? So I imagine that maybe that was a hiding place from the Nazis, maybe resistance people hid in there or something. But anyway, I've opened it up, and in honour of what's happening, in remembrance, I've decided to make this into a little space for meditation, which I'm calling the little chapel. And we're going to put a stained glass window in the upper part, which I hope to include a picture of in this video. Good morning Pussycat, good morning. She's come to join me for the video again. So this is the site of the first fire. It happened before we bought the house, maybe in the 1970s. And this originally, there was a barn here that you can see through here. The archway has since fallen, unfortunately. And this was another barn here. So this is what we did. We had to take down a lot of walls because this was full of rubble and beams, broken beams and so on. And we took down a lot of walls, filled it in. So this space was like that space. We filled it in and made a lovely courtyard here, and planted this tree that's grown incredibly. Nature is so powerful. So this was a huge undertaking. And I don't know what the cause of that first fire was, but I was talking about the recapitulation of trauma, so we had to take down a lot of walls. And we built this courtyard, bringing the slabs from the river, the flat paving slabs from the river. It's just so amazing. Nature always is trying to reclaim everything, so the incredible power of nature. Here we have a little fig tree that's just seeded itself here since my last visit a few days ago. Not a few days ago, a few weeks ago. And here we have another pussycat. Hello. Hiding behind the chair. So, this is an example of nature. So, we have the rubble that we have yet to clear from taking this wall down here to a stable height. And all the time nature is trying to come in. It's trying to reclaim everything that mankind is doing. We have the brambles come in, so they can't come and so easily plant themselves. And then down here in the middle, we have a buddleia tree. Now the buddleia trees are, I should think, trees of hope we should call them, because they come in and they reclaim buildings and they nourish the butterflies. They're called the butterfly tree. They actually absolutely feed hundreds of different kinds of butterflies that are all attracted to them. And we see them in London after the bombing. We saw them coming out of the buildings, the ruined buildings. So together the brambles and the buddleia trees and all those first plants that come in, they start creating soil, and gradually, hello pussycat, the soil gradually becomes a surface again for things to grow in. So we have the leaves from the tree that falls down and creates the soil. So it's a huge task all the time keeping our lovely courtyard clear, unless we totally wanted to concrete it. So here's an example of the buddleia as well. So that's the first fire. Fire number 1, which happened to the barns of the house here. The barns attached immediately to the house. So we have the early morning sunshine, it's very bright. And that's looking back at the main house. The second fire happened here, and that was in 2000 and around 2005, I think. So I had to have the whole roof rebuilt. It was a raging inferno. So coming through the house we can see the second fire. So this is the main part of the house, which is the newer part. And then once we had moved in, we found that there was a very old part on this end which we renovated, and it was in a far different condition to this when we found it, but it was renovated, rebuilt, and then in 2005, after the renovation, and I was in England, it caught fire. So this is an entirely new roof that has been put on, because this roof burnt down. You can see the difference with the old beam. There are just the old beams left. You can see the new beams that were put in, and it had to be retiled. Such was the inferno that the roof dropped down, burning, and fell onto the new floor that we had put in. And here we've now renovated the floor again, but we could not get rid of the scorch marks of the fire. So this fire had happened as a result of a huge storm, and some sparks from the chimney blew into the rafters and set the whole room on fire. Luckily the fire brigade was able to come from 15 miles away in time and managed to put it out so it's not gutted like the barn, which you can see across the way there. So the message is never give up. If you have a vision and a hope that you can work on it little by little, never give up. You only have to do a small piece at a time. Each day a little piece, and just be disciplined with that and keep going and not allow yourself to be overwhelmed. So stay aligned with the light. And today there's going to be a community celebration in my clearing, which is wonderful. They're just setting up the tables now, so there's going to be music and celebration here. And this is my beautiful barn where the third fire happened, started by vandals or someone in the middle of the night. Totally gutted this beautiful barn, and now the roof is being rebuilt, but it's taken me almost 20 years now, perhaps longer, to rebuild. So we've had to rebuild walls, put the roof on. It's a very, very slow process. So let's just go round the other side. It's early morning and the sun is very bright. It's the bread oven. So this is better, we can get a better view. So it was an absolutely raging inferno, and we still have a big part to do on the end. And we come inside. So it's been a huge process rebuilding this barn, but little by little, step by step, we've been doing it. And this is how the ancients did it, one stone at a time. Never give up, incredible workmanship. Come round the other side now. So after years of hard work and worrying about how I was ever going to rebuild, an incredible mess out here of the remains of the fire with all sorts of things thrown out, and this thin bramble's grown up around it again. And I spent several years with help picking everything up, clearing the brambles, moving the old beds that had been thrown out in the fire, the bits and pieces, different things. And after immense amount of clearing, I finally saw this, which was my beautiful red rose. That had planted, and it was flowering again. A real blessing. And this is the end of the barn that has still yet to be done. The walls on this side have to be stabilised, and this part of the barn is still full of rubble and the beams that we had to saw out that's dropped down inside. And you can see the incredible power of nature, how it's actually reclaiming, and this is what nature will do, and we are nature, so we will always be stronger than anything else. You see, the brambles have just started growing inside and are reclaiming the building here, so we will go in and clear them all out and clear the rubble out of this part. So that's how you have to do it, a little bit at a time, never give up, and know that the human spirit is incredible, and we are infinite beings of light that can overcome all sorts of difficulties. And we have to work together. We work together as a team, as a community, as a group, and we can build and we can reclaim and stay with our creativity, because it's that creative spark that allows us to go forward even when everything seems overwhelming and difficult and impossible. The creative spark is what keeps us going, so we can do it. Nous avons une grande fête aujourd'hui pour la célébration. Il y a pardon, je parlais en français. We are having a grand fete here for the celebration. There's going to be about 80 people, so just a quick show round. People will park in various places, in the entrances of the buildings, the fields, so it's a lot of cars coming. And ici, in the downstairs kitchen, they're preparing the food. So community working together.
Le gasoil qui a doublé, en fait, tu vois,
Lots of melons being prepared.
le gaz, et bien ça, regarde les boulangeries.
Lots of food being prepared. For the moment, this little room is being used. Bonjour Richard.
Bonjour.
Vous êtes en vidéo. Oui. Voilà, j'essaie.
Ah, mais oui, bien sûr. Alors là, je suis en train de...
Je peux sauter la porte? C'est possible pour sauter?
Tu fais ce que... Moi, je fais comme si tu n'étais pas là.
D'accord. Ah, ça marche bien.
Alors, le problème, c'est voir si ça marche bien. Là, on peut fermer. Après...
Oui, c'est ça.
C'est pas tout à fait... Alors, peut-être qu'il faudrait une barre plus longue. Avec plus longue,
oui. On peut chercher ça.
Non, mais regarde, on peut aussi faire
mais
ça.
Mais vous êtes en vidéo. Oui.
Voilà, peut-être ça.
So this is the clearing that's prepared for the fete this afternoon. It's going to have 80 people about.
Vous avez mis les des chips déjà?
Non, il a arrêté parce qu'elles sont avec le vent. Mais quand les gens se trompent là-dessus,
Oui, oui.
pendant qu'on passe le vent,
Je lui dis embrasse-moi, tout doucement je la regarde, et je lui dis embrasse-moi, comment veux-tu que je t'embrasse? Tout le monde dit mal de toi. On dit que tu vas pour l'armée, dans le Piémont servir le roi. On dit que tu vas pour l'armée, dans le Piémont servir le roi. Quand tu seras dans ces campagnes, tu n'y penseras plus à moi. Tu penseras aux Italiennes, qui sont bien plus belles que moi. Tu penseras aux Italiennes, qui sont bien plus belles que moi. Si fait la belle, j'y penserai toujours à toi. Je m'en ferai faire une image, tout à la semblance de toi. Je m'en ferai faire une image, tout à la semblance de toi. Quand je serai à table à boire, à tous mes amis je dirai, chers camarades, venez voir, celle que mon cœur a tant aimée. Chers camarades, venez voir, celle que mon cœur a tant aimée. Je les aimais, je l'aime encore, je l'aimerai tant que je vivrai.
Each side. Oh, no. Les enfants. Il y a des haines, hein. Les petits jeunes, ils sont comment? Ils l'appellent. Ils ont fait.
Trolla do
rio, l'altro lato rio, desde que falei contigo, no cantivo el mai descanso, no cantivo el mai descanso, ay, 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 ay. Rio verde, rio verde, rio verde, tantas cores, rio verde, así somos los amores, onda rira, erba que chirira, la rechuga, brazo, tome, onda rira, erba que rira, onda rira, rio verde, rio verde, rio verde, tantas cores, rio verde, así somos los amores, erba que verde, onda una rio verde, tantas cores, rio verde, onda una así somos los
Once for sorrow, twice for joy, thrice for a girl and fourth for a boy, five for silver, six for gold, seven's for a secret never told. Devil, devil, hide it, hide it. Devil, devil, hide it, hide it. Devil, devil, hide it, hide it. Oh, the mudpack brings a studying of news both fair and full. She's more cunning than the raven, more wise than any hole. For she brings us news of the harvest, of the barley, wheat and corn, and she knows when we'll go to our graves and how we shall be born. Once for sorrow, twice for joy, thrice for a girl and fourth for a boy, five for silver, six for gold, seven's for a secret never told. Devil, devil, hide it, hide it. Devil, devil, hide it, hide it. Devil, devil, hide it, hide it. She brings us news when she comes from right. Grief went from the left, and all the news that's in the air, we know to trust her best. For she sees us at her level, and she mocks us at her words, and she steals the eggs from out of the nest, and she can mop the hole. Once for a girl and 4's for a boy. 5 for silver, 6 for gold. 7's for a secret never told.
I hope you found that was interesting. So this is the day after, and I just found this lovely flower on the grass dropped by the people who were celebrating here in my clearing where I'm sitting now yesterday, the community fete, special community event that happened. And just a quick sharing, I was so emotional yesterday. I had such feelings of gratitude and happiness and pride for what's happened here, because it's actually it's 80 years since the massacre in the village, and I bought this house in '93 and was here until 2000, when the level of abuse that was happening against us as a family was so overwhelming that then I was forced to leave. But I never wanted to let go of the house, and it was all turning back into ruins, and there was no community here at all, apart from the one neighbour that then had moved in. So I have held on to this house and held on to working here, coming backwards and forwards from England this whole time and working here and building this, and the whole energy of the hamlet has changed, not just because of what I've done, not because of what I've done, but I was a large part of that, but because of holding the vision and the people coming in and engaging and rebuilding themselves, rebuilding this little hamlet where my house is as well, which has been absolutely incredible to witness. And I started off by saying that the power of nature is incredible, and that we are nature ourselves, and that if we can harness that and use our creativity, our creative forces, we can make a tremendous change, tremendous healing. So all that God wants us to do actually in dealing with this darkness and dealing with the abuse is to stand in our own light of who we are, the light of who you are. Stand in that light and stand in your creativity and take one step at a time, and things will transform. And if you fall down, then it's okay. We all fall down. We can stand up again. So I just want to finally finish by saying that we have to be conscious of what the harm is that is being done at this moment, and we have to be conscious of what's happened to us in the past, and in bringing that into consciousness, then we can heal it. So, devil, I see you. Devil, I see you, and I stand within the light of God, the one true living God. I stand in my creative force as an infinite being of light on this planet at this time. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.